Hello there and welcome to Clay Disarray, a calm creative corner of YouTube. In today's video I'm going to be making my interpretation of Paul McCartney, and it's of the Gets Back era from 1969, and here he is with his buddy Ringo. So let's get started. I think this is my third attempt at Paul McCartney now, and for whatever reason, I think he's really hard to get in terms of likeness. For some reason, his actual face doesn't match up with the version in my mind, and I'm not sure why really. So it always takes me, quite a long time to try and get his likeness. Ringo's was pretty easy to capture. I think it's because he's got sort of quite big, unique features, and I made him actually in a previous video, which I'll link below if you fancy watching that one as well. So I'm just adding some cheeks here so I can work on the contours of Paul's face. I'll just work on his nose. I really like making noses. I'm not quite sure why really, but they obviously help to bring the full face together. So as I've mentioned previously, I've watched Get Back so many times now. I think, in all honesty, Ian and I must have watched it about 10 times. So just really love it. I think because also it's of a similar time to my favourite album, and that's Abbey Road. I've always loved that album. I love basically all of the Beatles stuff really, but that album in particular is as near to perfection as you can get, I think. Well, apart from Maxwell's Silver Hammer, maybe. It's really weird because I don't actually mind that song too much, but Ian absolutely hates it, and I think it's a song that really divides Beatles fans. And it's really interesting to know that it was just as divisive a song in the Beatles themselves really. I think Paul was just insistent on, really getting it done and it being his true vision of the song, and I don't know, maybe he just got too lost in the process, maybe. So now I need to work on Paul's legs, and this outfit is based on the final Rooftop performance that they did. It's completely iconic, isn't it? So that's why Ringo was in his red coat. But I'm going for a kind of basic kind of black suit for Paul. So now I've baked Paul's head here so I can start work on his eyes. And that looks like it's coming together now. Just add on his pupils. And now I can begin work on his beard, and I really like making beards on my characters, and it's definitely one of my favourite things to do with Polymer clay, and possibly my most favourites. So I'll just keep adding on some dark brown clay here. And once it's of a shape that I'm happy with, I can then start on some detail with my needle tool here. Just squeeze that in a bit more. So I've been looking into some Beatles facts, which is always a bit difficult because The Beatles are just so well known, aren't they? And they've got such mega fans that it's almost an area that you don't really want to go into. So I've just collected some really basic facts that I thought were interesting anyway. So Paul McCartney can play 40 different instruments, and yep, that's 40, not 14. Just find that astounding. Where on earth do you find the time for one to learn all of these instruments? And I believe his first musical instrument was at the age of 14. It was a trumpet that he was given for his 14th birthday. So back to my model, I'm just going to make a waistcoat here because it's a kind of 3-piece suit that he's wearing. So I'll just go in with my blade cutting tool here. And incidentally, I do have a list of the tools that I use pretty frequently down below in description. And I'll pop on his jackets. So Paul McCartney has written or co-written at least 1,059 songs, and I'm hopeful that's a fairly representative number. I checked a few sources on that number, but what an astounding number. And you've got to figure how many of those songs were absolute bangers, because it was really rare for the Beatles to come out with a duff song, I think. And I think Lennon and McCartney wrote 180 songs together, but this is a number that's really difficult to pin down because there are some variations, shall we say, from different sources really. But again, it's just an amazing number, isn't it? So I'm going to start on Paul's hair here, and his whole aesthetic at this point is just a delight to work with. I thought he looked just so handsome with a beard and longer hair. It's a shame that he didn't stick with this look a bit longer really, because I think it just really worked for him. I'll just keep adding on hair. So here I've baked him for the final time and he's all done. I am of course planning to make John and George at some point soon. I did want to start on them this week, but we've had really hot temperatures here in the UK and it's always difficult to work with clay in the heat. So yeah, I'll just have to wait a bit longer to make those. So thank you for watching. Give it a like if you got this far, and I'll see you again soon.